Well, welcome everybody. We're still waiting for one person, so we're going to give it a minute here, but we're going to get started really soon with our careers in healthcare event tonight. Just some reminders on Zoom. If you want to keep yourself muted unless you're asking a question, that would be great. And also the chat is open for questions, so please feel free to add in your questions as we go throughout the night here. And we're at 5:05, so let's get started. I know we're so grateful that our alums are here tonight, and we want to make sure that we have enough time to have these great discussions. So hi everyone, and welcome to the Capital Region Career Consortium Spring Event, Careers in Healthcare. And I'm Carlene Palante, Director of Career Planning at Russell Sage and past chair of CRCC. So for weeks, we've worked together in our career offices to bring to students this career exploration discussion tonight about healthcare careers and feature the career journeys of alumni from Russell Sage, Siena, Albany College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, Clarkson University, Rensselaer, St. Rose, and Union College. So we're actually going to be putting the bios for each panelist in the chat, so you can check them out shortly. And just, I wanted to recognize all my colleagues from the other colleges and CRCC. If you could just wave and say hello, and they'll be here to help you throughout the event as well. So tonight's event is going to be split into two parts. So we're going to have a panel discussion lasting for about an hour as a larger group, and then it'll be followed by connecting with panelists in breakout rooms for smaller discussions. So students can choose the room they would like to attend, and the event will end after these breakout rooms. Like I said before, please put your questions in the chat, or you can actually send them directly to me for our panelists as we go along. And we definitely want to answer your questions. Feel free to also have your camera on throughout the discussion, but if you could please keep yourself muted if you're not asking a question. So let's get started. So we're excited. So not only do we have alum here from our colleges, but we are excited to welcome our moderator for the panel tonight, Dr. Lisa Misare. So Lisa is new to the Capital Region, and she is the Senior Vice President and Chief Nursing Officer at Albany Med. Her background spans from academics to service, and Lisa comes to New York from Kaiser Foundation Hospitals in Northern California, where she interfaced with the 21 hospital system leading and managing complex financial and staffing projects. Previously, she had held Chief Nursing Officer positions at Kaiser Foundation Hospital, Walnut Creek, Kaiser Foundation's Hospitals East Bay, and Contra Costa Regional Medical Center. She also led the pre-licensure nursing program as assistant professor and director of nursing at Kent State before moving to California. She holds a doctoral degree in nursing with a focus on executive leadership, master's degree in nursing administration from Gannon University, and is nationally certified in critical care nursing, nursing administration, and healthcare quality. Her passion is to improve care and care delivery with inquiry, critical thinking, and lifelong learning. So Lisa is going to kick us off tonight prior to our panel with a quick discussion on hiring and essential skills in healthcare. So thank you so much, Lisa, and we're looking forward to your discussion.
Great. Thank you, Carlene. And, it's really an honor to be here tonight with such esteemed colleagues. I'm new to the region, so I'm also very thrilled to get to know you all and get to know all of the multiple academic programs surrounding healthcare. There's no time that is more important to really highlight the different healthcare fields that we have and to navigate through that. It's been a hell of a couple of years. And so we've got a lot to do, but we'll take that as an opportunity, I think, and we'll look at it embracing change and how do we make it better instead of just replicate some of the old systems and processes that we've had in the past. So I think that that's ours to own. And ours to actually define the future. So I'm excited about it. It's a challenge. And healthcare has never been for the faint of heart, but it's also really a calling and a service. There's no other field that I can think of that you have the distinct honor to be included in another human being's life. To really touch the humanity that we're blessed to share with our patients and with our families. So Carlene asked me to talk a little bit about recruitment themes, and my background is heavily steeped in nursing education. But I think that, some of these themes really can be transmitted across all disciplines. I'd say that, you don't have to have it all figured out. We're in a time where people are a lot more receptive to change than maybe they were 30 years plus ago when I entered the field. I think it's okay to have different points of view and actually expected to have different perspectives and share those perspectives and those points of view. I would say, advice that has served me well is to be curious, to not assume that you've got all the answers, but just ask a lot of questions. And, you're in a student's seat where that's totally accepted. I've got many years of experience, but I still call myself new to the region and to the medical center. And I figure I'm going to play that card as long as I can play it. So I am always curious about things. And I ask people all the time, help me understand, ... whatever that is. I would say as a student, be open to new experiences. And even if it's not an experience that you think is going to land you in your dream job, there are experiences that can help you understand yourself a little bit more, to really understand what ignites you, what's your passion. There's so many different choices in healthcare to experience, and even just getting your foot in the door in healthcare, say as a patient care assistant or something like that, to understand different roles that are happening in a hospital or in the community, to just feel out a little bit further what drives you and where your passion might be, what charges you up. There's a lot of times you'll go into a field and you think that's where I want to land, and then you spend your first week or month there and you go, ooh, that's not exactly what I thought it was going to be. So, really just expose yourself and be open to not having to have all the answers out the gate. It's okay. And then I would think broadly about your experiences and what you bring to the table. What have you done that's transferable to another job or another role? You don't need to have a lifelong of experience. You're not at that stage necessarily in your career, but you may have experiences, lived experiences from a first career or life in general that you can take as lessons learned, and then use that to differentiate yourself. What do you bring into the field that maybe others don't have that experience. So think about the challenges and think about where you might have stumbled, because those are really the best learnings. If you do everything perfectly all the time, there's not a lot to be learned from that. So I take those stumbles as jewels that you can learn from. And in terms of recruitment trends, I'm sad to say that I think a lot of employers still are old school, and we're not necessarily forward thinking about how to best leverage technology, social media. You know, all of you attending this Zoom meeting have that all over current employers. So be patient with the old folks. And bring them along, because you bring things to the table that these old folks don't necessarily know or have. And the application process may be arduous. You might not be able to just drop and drag a PDF file and say, boom, I've applied. You might have to fill out multiple screens of things. And that's okay, go through that. And then give the feedback later when you get the job, so that you can make it better for the next person. So, you know, we're all happy to answer questions. I know we've got a series of questions that we'll be going through as a panel. Carlene's going to help us to stay on track and monitor chat to see where some of those questions might land. And then I'll be excited to see where everyone lands in the breakout sessions and how we can help you. And so please, this is for you. You know, we want to help you have some clarity on what your next steps are going to be and answer any questions that we can answer.
Thanks
So
so
that,
much, Lisa.
That being said, shall I jump in?
Sure.
Okay. So first question that we're going to ask for the panel is, tell us about your career journey or your story. I think everybody has a story as they went into their career path. What was a pivotal moment in choosing healthcare as a career? When and why did you decide to pursue a career in healthcare? So I'm going to start us off, and then I'm going to open it up. So I'm going to tell you all something that most people don't know about me. I used to be a firefighter. I joined a volunteer fire department when I was 16 years old. The firehouse was about 6 doors down from my parents' house where I lived. My father was in the fire department, and I thought I might want to do a career in healthcare. And so I said, what the heck? I should join the fire department. This was like in 1980. I was the only girl in the fire department. I was 16 years old. I weighed probably 95 pounds dripping wet. And I said, I want to be a firefighter. And they looked at me and they put me in bunker gear and they put the air pack on me, which weighed 50 pounds and I probably weighed 90. And then I couldn't turn on the fire hose without getting knocked on my behind. And they didn't know what to do with me. They literally didn't know what to do with me. And so they said, well, you can't drive an emergency vehicle. You're too young. You can't ride shotgun because you'll get us lost all the time. So the only place for you to really be is in the back of the squad. So it was great. Loved it. Lots of good experience in the back of the squad. I did the whole EMT thing, and then went to nursing school, did nursing school as a diploma grad. So lots of really solid clinical experience. Still stayed in the fire department until I moved out of state. I actually stayed with that team for 7 years, and just had a blast and had experiences in teamwork, community service, time management, decision-making skills. I mean, I can go on and on and on, right? I would not trade that experience for 1 minute. I learned how to drive people's cars stick shift because I had to take them back to the firehouse sometimes. I never knew how to drive stick shift. I mean, it's great. So I think just keep yourself open, and listen to yourself. You know, your heart will tell you where your path is if you take a minute and pause and just listen to what your body's telling you. And so be open to that. So that was my early experience, and I'm glad that I chose nursing. I think it gives me what I was looking for in terms of service to community, really touching an individual and a family in a way that no other healthcare career, I think, can. And from my perspective, you can do anything as a nurse. You can be a nurse practitioner, you can be a nurse anesthetist, you can work at the bedside, you can be an administrator. I mean, you can do absolutely anything. So I know I'm biased that way, so I'm disclosing my bias full frontal, and open the question up to the panel. So essentially, again, it's tell us about your career journey or your story. What was a pivotal moment for you in your career? And why did you decide to go into healthcare?
Do you want us to just come off mute, or how did you want us to raise our hand? Or?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I mean, I think Jamie, tag you're it because you spoke up first. But yeah, I think just raising hand, or that probably works best.
Okay, well, I'll go, and then I know Matt came in next, and then Ashley, so I don't want to step on anybody's toes either. Can everyone hear me okay? All right, awesome. So hi, my name is Jamie DeBringo-Palumbo. I'm an alumni from St. Rose. I currently live in San Diego, California, but I work all over the world for Foundation Medicine. So I'm on the industry side of healthcare. And I will start off with why I got into healthcare. And it's unfortunate, but fortunate that I think cancer has touched almost everyone, either personally or their family. And breast cancer runs quite rapid in my family. My grandmother, but my mother had breast cancer. And so I really started to look at careers that could help patients, that could help people who had cancer. And so that really led me into a very interesting dynamic of my career, which was in the operations side. So similar to Lisa, when you think about operations in an industry where you make oncology cancer medicine, so both biologic medicine, we're going back 25 years now, small molecule, which is the pills that you take, and then now personalized medicine, which is under comprehensive genomic profiling. Not many women, if any, in operations. It was something I was very passionate about. I wanted to make the medicine. I didn't want it to go overseas. I wanted it to be something that I knew what was in it, how we made it, and make it as cost efficient as possible. And I'll recall when I first started, I was not in operations. I actually got into industry through HR because I was really good with people. And they were like, oh, you seem to be really good with people. So I got into HR, and it was at one point in my career, which I actually have an article in a book called Strength and Heals. And it was a moment, and a pivotal moment, I think was the question. What was that pivotal moment in your career? That moment was when I was talking to a senior vice president in my organization and told him I wanted to get into operations. And his response to me was, you're going to need to take off that makeup, and you're going to have to stop wearing your heels. My response to him was, I'm not wearing any makeup, but thank you so much. And you're going to have to get used to it. And it was at that point in time where we had to step up. Women needed to step up in industry, and we needed to represent each other. So they said, okay, fine. I had my first child. I came back after maternity leave, was called during maternity leave, and I think they were testing me, and they said, we have a job in maintenance. Do you want it? It's the only way you're going to get into operations. And I said, yes, I'm going to take it. So I've gone from maintenance to supply chain to engineering. I did go back to school, MIT, and got my degree in bioengineering. I then went and got my master's degree and have pretty much run almost every part of the organization that you could possibly run. I've been in Switzerland. I've run plants in South Africa. And I've been blessed recently to work for an organization that is based in the US, in Cambridge, Boston, Massachusetts, with sites in Raleigh and San Diego. So my point in all this is what you're passionate about, which sounded very similar to Lisa, and probably some common themes for everyone here, is stick to something that you are somewhat passionate about, and where you want an essential partner. For me, it was in cancer care. No matter how, you wanted to really make sure that I made a difference. And for me, it was knowing how much medicine people have to take and being curious about what's in that medicine and ensuring that it was the right type of medicine for the cancer that someone had. So with that, I will hand it off to Matt.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. That was great to hear about all of your experiences, as well as Lisa's as well too. My name is Matt Hickling. I am a certified and board certified pediatric nurse practitioner who actually specializes in developmental and behavioral pediatrics. This is not where I ever thought my career would go. And I've had quite a journey as well too, kind of in ways where Lisa said she had something different than healthcare. Same for me. More of the stereotypic way you'd think though. As a male, I was very active and I led the life of athletics my entire childhood, adolescence, played hockey, and found out in my mind that I'm going to be the next Jerry Maguire or Arliss. That was my goal. I'm going to be a sports agent. And ended up going and having an injury while playing, and then had to figure out next steps. Ended up on sports management. I'm in the Albany area, and this is now where I've lived, grown up, and still currently have my career up in Latham, New York. And I was like, well, I work with the Riverettes. I work with the Firebirds. These are great teams around here. They're wonderful. Ended up, they started tanking. No one's coming in. And I had great qualities, though, from having public relations, with doing stuff with press releases, and then going out into community relations, and then also doing marketing. So a lot of those things helped transfer from my sports management degree. But I saw the people around me that were drowning. They had no family life. They had no work-life balance, and I needed something different. So my moment of clarity was when my mom, who was a director of outpatient mental health at a local hospital here at Samaritan, said, why don't you think about nursing? And I had no idea what I was going to be getting into. I was curious. So I went and shadowed over at the hospital, got to meet with 4 different nurses. They introduced me to different units, different styles, and immediately was hooked. Applied for some of the local schools, got in, and then quit my job and decided I was going to be a patient care tech at one of the local hospitals. And from there, met Glenda Kelman, who is the chair over at Sage. And she said, hey, we have this opportunity to bring in a male to our school that is female based. And we'd like to kind of interview you and see if this is a good fit. And it was. And it was one of the biggest honors I've ever had to be basically the first male graduate, of their program, and go forward from there. Luck and curiosity led me to being in the pediatric intensive care units and other critical care areas in Albany Med, and then worked in the cancer outpatient with some of the kids. And one of the first big goals in life was, if people may or may not have seen my face before, in 2015, I was the nurse that married the little girl and was all over the news for that entire time. And that was a huge perk, to have that relationship with a patient, with a family, and understand all those things. But then I was like, I got to go back to school. So I became a nurse practitioner, had to leave this place that I loved so much because clinical hours weren't going to let me do that. and ended up in Albany Med's new pediatric emergency department because I was like, this is a great opportunity. I can stay in Albany Med. I can work here as a new nurse practitioner. I've got the skill set. This is going to be wonderful. Lisa, you're going to hate to hear this. Got through the interview process and they didn't want me, which was kind of heartbreaking, but also good in a way because it allowed other doors to open and led me to where I currently am right now in developmental and expand my knowledge base and become stronger in what my career has led me to. And one of the other things that happened early on in my career is also failure. Before trying to go to the pediatric intensive care unit at Albany Med, I applied for Duke and University of North Carolina's residency programs because those were top at the time and did not get into those as well also. So understanding where curiosity and failure leads you in the healthcare is really inspiring as well also. Currently at my current position as a nurse practitioner, I get to do developmental assessments and diagnoses, which not many nurse practitioners get to do across the country. And it's pretty groundbreaking. And we also have the opportunity to work on building a new forum for nurse practitioners through all of community care, which has been helpful for me to work with others and create that opportunity, take my marketing degree to work with the marketing teams. And I also am one of the primary role people for NP students to train them and to give back to the community at other times also. So nursing has been a wonderful journey. And there are other opportunities coming up for me right now currently as well too that are also groundbreaking. So stay tuned. Hopefully things will kind of continue in a more engaging light. So I'm not sure who's next, but.
I'm happy to go next. Hi guys, my name is Shilpa. You'll see me in a bunch of different situations. I think you can see my camera going on and off. I am a resident in OBGYN, a resident physician at Dartmouth-Hitchcock. I'm a graduate of Union College and Albany Med through the Leadership in Medicine program. And I got my MS and Master's in Business Administration. I am running around everywhere because I'm a resident. So right now I'm still on call. You see me, the ceiling you see above me is the hospital ceiling. I'm just trying to keep patients out of view. When I first turned on the camera, I was in the clinic. Now I'm in the inpatient setting, running around, kind of taking care of all of our lovely OBGYN patients. My love for OBGYN really started kind of in medical school. I think I've always had a love for reproducing bodies and how they change over time and how you actually serve as like a liaison for your patient. You kind of walk them through major decisions, major transitions, great love, great loss. And it's kind of this beautiful story of humanity. My second love is actually art. I'm a classical Indian dancer. I tell stories through my body, and it seems so perfect to be both a surgeon delivering uteruses, delivering babies, changing lives, but also watching people's bodies change and their entire life perspective change as an artist. And so my love has really been a blend of both worlds. I lived a year as a Watson Fellow, traveled the world looking at traditional dances around the world. And I studied in different little villages where I traded my dance for their dance. And around that trade, we kind of learned stories about each other, stories of shared mythologies, stories of shared loss, shared gains. And this idea that women are reproducing bodies really are constantly in flux, constantly in change, and constantly leading the way forward in many communities. And so my organization is called a Simkala Initiative. We use traditional dances to tell stories of people in medicine and kind of using it as this force to ask ourselves questions, release a lot of the emotions, and really celebrate the humanity within. I have the profound honor of delivering babies every day. I also, I know I pass them off to our fellows here, the co-panelists once they're much older, but I get the babies out first. And then it's, women undergoing menopause, people undergoing gender affirmation surgeries, prolapse, helping people have a regular life again after, dealing with uterine cancer, ovarian cancer. So it's a beautiful job and a beautiful experience to see it through the eyes of an artist physician. I am about to finish residency. My husband, sorry, you're hearing a lot of sounds in the hospital. Welcome to the auditory version of learning about the hospital. We just actually are going to UNC next year. My husband matched at pulmonary critical care at UNC, and I am going to be his tag-along wife who is going to do a fellowship in generalist academic OBGYN training at UNC. So to those of you who see medicine as one part of your life, but not your whole life, those of you who see life as a transition, to people that really want to work with their hands, I think, and work in teams, right? Like the teamwork in healthcare is incredible. I think this is the right job for you. So let me know if you have any thoughts about arts, medicine, dance, creation. I'm here for it.
Thank you. Kendra, I think you wanted to go next, and then maybe we'll move on to the next question.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Kendra Zapp.
Kendra, we lost audio. No. So maybe we'll go on to the next question, and then we can get Kendra's audio back. So the next question for the panel, whoever wants to speak up, is: in what ways did you prepare yourself to be successful in a career in the healthcare field? What experiential or hands-on opportunities did you engage in during your undergraduate experience?
Hi, my name is Jennifer. Is it okay if I go next?
Yep, go ahead, Jennifer.
Hi, so I'm a graduate from Albany College of Pharmacy. Right now I'm a clinical pharmacist at Shields Health Solutions. Some of the experiences that I had, and I would encourage students as well, is to definitely get like shadowing and volunteer experience. Kind of just looping back into the first question, like I didn't really have a pivotal moment, kind of deciding like this is specifically in pharmacy what I wanted to do. I think it was more of a fluid movement, and kind of seeing different kind of what different types of pharmacists do, because pharmacy is a pretty, it's a pretty like broad, there's hospital, there's retail pharmacy. So I think, we get to do rotations, which I think, students who are on rotation definitely take advantage of that, and kind of ask questions and seek opportunities, work with your advisors and your mentors to kind of get unique opportunities. Because right now I'm working, it's a Shields Health Solution. It's a specialty pharmacy integrator. So we're counseling patients like remotely. So I'm actually in upstate New York, but servicing patients down in the city. So in New York Presbyterian, and I'm, talking to patients about their oral oncology medications, which is something, when I started off pharmacy school, I never thought I would be doing. So I think, just seeking, volunteer opportunities, shadowing experiences, and definitely asking questions and being open to new opportunities. So.
Jennifer, why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey as well? I think our students would like to hear from all the panel.
Sure. So I volunteered at, I'm from Albany, New York. So I volunteered at the hospital during high school, kind of did different like nursing floors and just kind of getting exposure. After, kind of figuring out that I wanted to do healthcare. My mom's a pharmacist as well. So that kind of like geared me towards the healthcare field. And I knew I wanted to make an impact in, someone's life. And I feel like healthcare was the best way for me to, kind of make that impact. So I started at pharmacy college, Albany College of Pharmacy. Initially, I kind of thought I was, gearing more towards medicine and, the medical school route. I actually took the MCAT exams and, it wasn't where I, things work out for a reason. So, things didn't really work out for me for medical school, but then I found a passion for pharmacy. And I, developed great relationships with my advisors, and I got to see, because I, growing up, I would think like a pharmacist, they just stand behind the counter, count pills, and that's pretty much all they do. But, going through pharmacy school, getting exposure to like the clinical pharmacists, the pharmacists that are working in the hospitals, working directly with nurses and doctors and, talking to patients, that kind of like geared my interest towards more of the clinical side of pharmacy. So I completed my bachelor's at Pharmacy College, and then I also went on to do the doctorate in pharmacy program, which is now I'm a pharmacist. And then I also did my master's of business, my MBA at, it was Union Graduate College, and then it was transitioned to Clarkson. So I had an interest in like business. So After pharmacy school, I did a pharmacy residency focused on managed care. And that was at a local health plan, CDPHP. After doing my residency at CDPHP, I worked as a clinical pharmacist in the home infusion setting. So definitely different than your, retail CVS pharmacy. And right now I'm working at Shields Health Solutions. So we're a pharmacy integrator working with different hospitals across the country. We're based out of Massachusetts, but we're partnering with different hospitals all across the country and, talking to patients about their specialty medications, answering any of their questions they might have. So it's kind of my journey.
Wonderful. Thank you. Fola, I think you had your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. So hi, my name is Fola. I'm an RPI alum, and currently I'm a medical student at the University of California, Irvine School of Medicine. And so during my time at RPI, there are a lot of great activities and clubs that I was able to be a part of. So, there's like Global Medical Brigades, the Pre-Health Honor Society, and the Biological Honor Society. And then I had like different roles in those different clubs. I was a treasurer for 2 of them. And then I also got to do research in a wet lab and also in a cognitive science lab. So initially, I was kind of averse to doing research because all that I thought I would do was like bench work and kind of like wet lab work. And that is precisely what I did for like the first like year or so. And I was like, oh, I knew it could only be like this. And then later on, I took a class, a cognitive science class, and my professor was talking about the research she did. And I was like, oh, wow, like that's also a possibility that I can like, explore. And so I spoke to her about it. This is Dr. Wolf for any of you that are at RPI. I think she's still there. And then she let me know about her cognitive science research. And so I jumped in with her lab, and that was really great. And then I was also able to be a part of the RPI professional leadership program. And I think that was something that was really unique because it was mainly students who were thinking of going like into the industry, but I knew obviously going like my desire to go into the healthcare industry also would entail, being a leader in some form. And so I knew that being a leader and having like that great experience to learn how to like, not just like network and, rub shoulders with executives, but actually learning like the nitty gritty of what it means to like lead, not just by your words, but by example, was such an invaluable like experience to have. And it was just really great for me to be able to do that, I think. And I think that's just, it's helped me now, and it will continue to help me as I move forward in my career. But definitely, I think shadow, as Jennifer said, and then also like get some research under your belt if possible too, and get involved in things that you're passionate about too, because if you're going to have to speak about that in your applications and you're not passionate about it, then the person interviewing you will know, and that is not a good look.
Great advice. Thank you. Anne.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ann Escher. I am an occupational therapist, and I think I might be one of the only rehab professionals here. So I went to Skidmore College for my undergraduate degree, and I went there for theater. And then I took a cultural anthropology class, and it changed my whole idea of what was possible. I'd never taken such a course before. And my real love and interest in people kept me in anthropology. So I graduated with an anthropology degree, and then in 1998, and then I was not sure what to do. And spoiler alert, I'd never heard of occupational therapy and never considered seriously a career in healthcare. I thought, I don't like blood. I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to be a nurse. I can't do that. Maybe I'll be a teacher, but to work with people, I like working with people, but I can't do that. And then I ended up, so I worked and did several different jobs, kind of trying a bunch of things. And then I worked in a group home for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And that sort of changed things for me. I was exposed to this whole field of occupational therapy, where people work with folks across the life course to help folks get doing what they need and want to do. It is a remarkable field. And when I discovered it and started to look into it and, talking about preparation, definitely everything everyone's been saying, observing, talking to people, professionals, what are the ins and outs? What's good about this? What's not good about this? I started to look into it and I fell in love because it was creative and it drew on the art piece of me and it drew on the science piece of me. And it's all of those things. And you have to be super creative and be willing to problem solve and work with people. It's incredible. I'm just doing a little plug here for occupational therapy because I think most people have a sense of nursing and medicine, but less about occupational therapy. This is a profession where you can also change the population that you work with, and it can evolve. And so I've worked with older adults in their homes who have low vision, and they need some adaptations and assistance to learn how to use their vision best. I've also worked in an acute care hospital, all around the acute care hospital, but in addition, the neonatal intensive care unit, and worked on ensuring that those premature babies and medically complex babies were able to have their developmental needs taken into account while they're getting their medical care. So it's a remarkable profession. And also, if you are interested, in the breakout room, if you're interested in physical therapy or speech therapy, I work with PTs and speech folks all the time. So I'd be happy to share about all of these professions as much as I can. So there are many routes.
There's a chat that came in that's got your name all over it.
Okay.
My name is Adeline Santos, and I'm currently pursuing occupational therapy. What's been the most rewarding part of the working in the field?
Oh my goodness, there is so much rewarding about working in occupational therapy. Mostly, I think one of the most rewarding parts is that you get to work with your clients over time and build a relationship and really sort of together experience the joys and the challenges that they're having. So those relationships with the clients are just something that keeps me really loving OT. You kind of can't go wrong. You'll find your niche in OT, and there's so much joy there. So the thing is, I've ended up now. I work at Boston University in academia and occupational therapy. So I love talking about OT. So I'm gonna mute so I don't take it.
Thank you. Awesome. So the next question is, the National Association of Colleges and Employers reports on 8 career readiness competencies. They're communication, teamwork, critical thinking, leadership, digital technology, equity and inclusion, career and self-development, and professionalism. What competencies are most prevalent in the healthcare field, and how do you apply them in your work? I don't know who wants to take that one.
You can go.
Yeah.
Was that for me? So I would say, and Lisa probably agree in this sense, critical thinking is definitely one of the ones that we would talk about first and foremost in nursing education, especially when you get to advanced levels. So it comes into a lot of play. If you have been following along with the news, there's been one issue, according to nurses, that really could involve some critical thinking and how it comes down to bedside and decision-making when you enter a room with a patient, when you're talking with a family, how you think through differential, the diagnoses of what you may be giving someone. The ability to think with students when they're coming in, and having a student come with me during the day, they want to initially think, okay, well, maybe it's just a virus. Okay, well, how do we talk through this? And how do we think about other areas that may be impacted as a whole body system? and how do we work about the medications, the treatment plans, the interventions we're going to use, and all these multiple steps that are going to go along with it. So I think for nursing, one of the big ones would definitely be critical thinking and how it attributes to a lot of things, not just in the profession, but in your daily life as well too, and other things about how you help with breaking down your own well-being, your mindset, in all those other areas. So.
Great, thank you. And Kendra, do we have your audio back?
Hear me? No.
Oh, yes, yes. Yay.
Yeah.
Hear you.
Okay. Let me know if you can't. Sorry. So I'm Kendra. I'm a dentist in Albany. My sister works with me. We have our own practice. We went to Siena and then Buffalo. And I knew from an early age that I wanted to be a dentist. When I was in 8th grade in home ec, they made us write about what we wanted to be. And I wrote, I wanted to be a dentist. And it was this beautiful paper that I handed in, like in a Christmas story, that they wanted the Red Ryder BB gun. And then it comes back, you know, you'll shoot your eye out. So I got my paper back and it was all marked up and it said, girls are assistants and hygienists. You can't be a dentist. So my mom's a nurse. She went to Albany Med and she marched me back over to talk to the home ec teacher, and she wasn't there. Another home ec teacher was there and her daughter was in dental school and told me I could do it. So ever since then, I was hell-bent on being a dentist. So every step that I took, picking my college, picking my dental school, was preparing me to become a dentist. And I think in dentistry, critical thinking is extremely important, but I think communication is as well. You can be the best clinician there is, but if you can't articulate and communicate and relate it to the patient, they'll go somewhere else. They won't take your treatment recommendations seriously. They might not pursue them. So I think communication and teamwork. I love my team. I can't do my job without my team, and working together is very important, especially now when we're all, you know, so short-staffed in healthcare.
Great, thank you. So I'll move on to the next question then. Who was it that really inspired you or mentored you on your journey? I feel like I should have like the Jeopardy music in the background. People are thinking.
I can go.
Okay.
So my path, I think, was kind of like fostered and really like nourished by my family. And that might sound very cliche or whatever, but honestly, my family have been my rock throughout this like entire medical school process. So for me, I first applied to medical school in my junior year, which was 2016, and then I didn't get in, and I was really, really bummed. And I thought, wow, like I'd done all these things, and I don't know, it kind of led me to think like, okay, well, maybe like medicine isn't for me. So then took a step back. I decided to work, and then what I did was still like in the healthcare field. So I worked at a biomedical device company. And then after that, I did a master's in global mental health, because I'm very passionate about mental health care, but I can like go on about that later. But essentially during this whole time, my family was really, really supportive, and they constantly like encouraged me to like not give up. And I think for me, because the first like application cycle, it was like emotionally draining. And so I was pretty hesitant to just go back and just be like, oh, okay, yeah, I can like reapply again. It'll be totally fine. So I wanted to also make sure that like what I was bringing to the table was like improved and everything like that. And so that is like something for me, like my family was a huge support. And then also like all the people that were like my professors that ended up being like a reference for me in my applications, because they kind of stayed with me and knew my story. And so they were also really encouraging, and like my MSc supervisor as well, he was really encouraging too. And so I think having like key people who can be cheerleaders and truth sayers in your life is really important, because you don't just want a bunch of yes people around you, but people who actually say the truth, but also people who aren't so incredibly pessimistic that they just kill all your dreams.
That's great advice. Anybody else want to contribute to that one? All right. So then I'm going to tell you, for me, it was the guys in the firehouse that were actually great mentors for me. I was 16 years old. I was the only woman. The first 10 EMS calls I went out on, 9 of them were like dead. I mean, auto accidents, heart attacks, suicide, you know, go down the list. And it was really a formative time for me. I mean, I kind of went, what the hell am I doing? And they were a bunch of guys who had a lot of experience that were like a bunch of fathers for me. So they were a good support for me. So I think, you know, find your support that you feel safe with and that can tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly and love you through it. So next question is, what do you feel is the most difficult part of working in your area of healthcare, and how do you handle the stress, and what do you do to practice self-care?
Can you guys hear me again?
Yeah, Kendra, you're up.
Okay, so as a dentist, I own my own practice, so I also consider myself a business person or entrepreneur. And the dentistry has become the easy part, and it's running the business. That's the hard part. A lot of practitioners, we have no business background. I wish I had some background in business and would love to get my MBA. So any business courses that you can take would be very helpful as well. But it's dealing with managing sometimes, you know, team members. We don't take insurance, but fighting with insurance companies. And a patient will say, my insurance only pays for this, but you know, you really need this. And patients have a hard time listening to that or hearing that and understanding that. So the business aspect, I think, for dentistry is probably the hardest part, and access to care too in certain areas.
Great, thanks. Anybody else want to jump in on that one?
I can add, especially I would say having 2 children, working internationally at many different hours, early in the morning, late at nights, I took on practicing mindfulness and have kept that going for probably a good 13 years now. And I'm actually offering it to my client services and operations teams as part of an overall overarching wellness program. So it's definitely one thing that I need to take a good 10 to 15 minutes out and learn how to breathe and take time out for myself, because I think like many on this panel, want to keep going, have continued to prove that ourselves, remove barriers for ourselves and others, and want to continue to do that. But you can't help others if you don't help yourself. So I certainly would recommend mindfulness and any type of yoga practice if anyone's interested.
Great. The next question is, can you reflect on a situation or an experience that might have ended your journey on this career path, but instead it motivated you to move forward? Kendra, yeah.
Sorry. I got told no several times along the way, and you just have to learn and keep going. I tried to interview early for dental school with the pre-health admissions committee. I think you guys probably still have that. They tore me apart. I left the interview crying. I called my parents. I said, this is over. I'm not going to dental school. I'm never going to get in. So I had to learn from that, take the questions that they asked me, research them, figure out the answers that I believed in to tell them. When I got to dental school, I cried several times. My maiden name was Fryer, and they called me Fryer the Crier because I was always crying. It was just overwhelming. You didn't know anybody. You were on your own again. Everybody's in the same boat. So it was a little lonely. I thought I wanted to do pediatric dentistry first day of pedo rotation was not for me. I like talking to adults most of the day, love little kids. I've got 3, but I love treating all ages. And then I became an associate when I first graduated at a practice that I knew the dentist since I was a kid, thought I was going to be there my whole entire career, was very proud of it. Found out our ethics did not match up, and I left and went out on my own. So that was very scary and was not what I thought it was going to be, but it led to the best possible outcome. So just because you meet a barrier or somebody that says no, use it to fuel yourself, to motivate yourself, but then to make yourself better. So find out where you can improve upon things and keep going.
Great. Shipla.
Yeah. So I think residency is extremely difficult. I think every job in healthcare is extremely difficult, but I think when you put in 80 to 100 hours a week, and you don't have weekends and your time is not your own, I think a lot of that does eat away at your mental and social fabric. My husband is a resident at Tufts and I was at Dartmouth, and during COVID, we actually couldn't cross state lines to see each other. I obviously couldn't see my family, couldn't see him. I think really being isolated in a space was pretty tough. And I think having to start doing surgery with PAPRs, with double N95s, with masks. I mean, you guys all know this in healthcare. You guys were in rooms wearing all this gear, trying to do your job. I think it was extremely stressful. And of course, feedback is tough, right? You get a lot of feedback in residency, you get a lot of feedback in healthcare professionals in general, and how you take that feedback can really make or break you. So yeah, I would say along the way, there were plenty of moments where I felt like we could stop, I could stop, I could quit, I could do something else. I don't have to do this. This is not necessary. Although kind of once you're in residency, your options out are very limited. It's almost like you have to finish residency to kind of be able to do any other career path you want, unless you truly decide you never want to come back to medicine or you want to switch to a different field. There's like a whole discussion around that. But, I felt like there are plenty of moments to stop, but having a sense of why you did this in the first place and what actually brought you to this field in the first place, I think, and your colleagues, right, your friends in the field really keep you going. So I say, to those of you who are going to pick hard fields like healthcare fields, I think know that it's going to be hard. It's not going to be kind always, even though we always say be kind, be well, breathe. Sometimes it's like, I just need to cry, or I just need to vent. I just need to go out for the evening and not think about it, so know that that is normal and you will get through it. I think just know why you did it in the first place, I guess.
Awesome, thank you. Here's the next question.
We do
What are you
have
most- Oh,
sorry, Lisa. We do
No.
have a question in the chat.
oh, great. This question's for Kendra. My name is Eileen. I'm planning to apply for dental school after taking a gap year. What do you think about the gap year, and what would you suggest doing during the gap year?
So if you want to take a gap year, go right ahead. In the grand scheme of things, it will not matter. I would get any dental experience that I could, whether in an office, a dental lab, if you can assist, if you can just do front desk, anything will help you be a better practitioner and business owner if you know all of the positions. And I would also, I'd travel, you're probably well prepared and on your way anyway. So enjoy a little bit of it before it's time to buckle down and work and prep the rest of your life. But I'd get whatever dental experience that you can.
Good advice. What are you most proud of when it comes to your accomplishments in the field? Who wants to grab that one? I guess for me, it would be that I know that my leadership has touched so many more lives than just what I've touched, because of how I've grown and supported other nurses and healthcare providers to care for patients, and the structures and the processes that we put in place to help keep them safe. So it's bigger than just yourselves. It's what is sustainable and the legacies that you put out there that's going to touch so many other people.
I would reiterate, Lisa, it's Jamie, everyone. The amount of patients that we've been able to touch in the last 25 years, specifically around personalized medicine, where in thousands of cases, a medicine would have been given and not helped someone, whereas we found a variant that was very unique to the person. And these are children all the way to adults, where they get to live a life they didn't know they were able to lead. And then the second piece is how much your leadership does impact others, where when you always do the right thing, whether it's really hard, and healthcare and ethics is really challenging. I mean, all of us can probably tell stories about where someone in a higher up position wanted you to do something and you had to say no because it wasn't the right thing to do for a patient. And that can wear on you overnight, and you have someone to look at in the mirror, and that's yourself. And so I'm really proud of the decisions that I've made, as tough as they have been, to ensure that I've never put a medicine out that wouldn't be at the highest quality for a patient to take. And I'm super proud of that, because it is not easy.
Thank you. Thank you for keeping us safe.
Thank you.
So any other last questions? If so, put them in the chat and we'll take them. Otherwise, we're going to move into breakout rooms pretty soon.
Yeah, I did get a question from a student. Hi, I'm Francesca, and I'm really interested in becoming a nurse anesthetist. I was wondering, what piece of advice would you give someone who is still in college and pursuing this path?
I'll take that one. I would say really map your plan out and plan your experiences. So get well-grounded in nursing practice and nursing care, and then ground yourself really well in critical care nursing. You know, think about surgical ICUs, or where you're going to see a lot of cases that are complex, that might have procedures at the bedside, that might have moderate sedation going on, so that you can have that exposure and really hone your critical thinking skills. So, you know, take a few minutes and talk to trusted colleagues or somebody in the field, and just map it out of, what do I need? Do I have the right educational requirements to get into a CRNA program? Do I have the right work pathway and experience to get into that program? And then how do you position yourself, and what program do you want to get into? I don't know if anybody else wants to add anything.
I have another question from a student. Let's see. So this is from a first year. Her name's Shania. She's interested in becoming a pediatrician or pediatric nurse, but the process in biology to become a doctor is extremely hard. How did you manage getting through it? So I think this might be for Fula or Sherpa. I'm not sure if she's still here.
I think we might have lost both of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Oh, there's Fula. Fula's back.
Okay.
Hi, yes, I have like 1 minute.
Fula, we
Okay.
drew you back.
Yes, I'm sorry. I think I missed part of the question.
Can you repeat the question, Carlene?
Oh, yeah, sure. So basically the question is, how did you make it through those biology classes and the classes required in medical school? The students worried about that.
Yeah, so it's funny because when you, at least for me, a lot of the like little details that you taught in your bio classes and stuff, they're not always going to be as relevant as you might think in medical school, and you get more of like a clinical kind of scope. But as for actually like going through it, I think definitely one thing to do is to use other methods of like trying to study, like looking outside of like the professor's notes, like maybe there are YouTube videos, or asking like, hey, how do you study, to like another one of your friends or something, or, you know, kind of finding out what it is that helps people like retain that information. And also if there are like review sessions or any like tutors or something like that, make sure you ask them and ask your professor as well, because it's not always as intimidating as you think. Like, they are there to help you. So yeah, I hope that's helpful, but I do have to go.
Thank you so much, Fola. And it looks like it's a great time for us to break out into those breakout rooms. So thank you so much to all of our panelists and to Lisa for moderating. This was a great discussion and definitely explored lots of different pathways in healthcare. So we really appreciate it, exposing all of our students to these great, your great advice. So I'm going to open the breakout rooms right now. So students can choose where to go, and we're actually going to just leave from there. So students can choose to go to more than one if they want and float around. But again, thank you so much for being here, and I will help out with making sure that you're going to your breakout rooms.
Thank you, everyone.
Arlene,
should
do we
be
need
able-
to join our own individual breakout rooms?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you should be able to choose. They're kind of named based on like nursing -Lisa, pharmacy -Jennifer. So you should be able to choose your breakout room.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for being here, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. So I guess we'll move into the breakout rooms.
Oh.
Well, just be minimal.
Shilpa, is she here?
Shilpa looks like she is. She's been on and off.
Okay.
She is.
I don't know how I create another breakout room.
It's okay. You know, I can join in one and just chat as needed. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah, that was me. I thought you were done. I apologize, Shilpa.
No worries. I'm sorry. It's on and off because of, obviously, you guys don't work. So sorry about that. I apologize.
No worries. Thank you, Shilpa, for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, this was great.
Maybe I'll put you with Lisa.
That's perfect.
I do see one union student still on there, Madeline. So if you want to chat with Shilpa, she's still here.
I have a quick question.
Please.
How do we get into the breakout rooms?
Sure. I can assign you if you're having problems.
Yeah, I can't find it.
Where do you want to go?
The OT.
The OT. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Madeline, are you still with us?
Yes.
Do you want to chat with Shilpa or one of the other panelists?
Yes, that would be perfect.